All right. And hello, everybody. I'm Jillian Vorse, Chief Handshaker. Welcome to One Handshake's first workshop, Connections and Clarity, creating a path to achieve your goals. And I really am so grateful and humbled to have Deb here with us today. So, Debra Eckerling is an award winning author and creator of the Deb Method for simplified goals. Her brand new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, came out this week. Congratulations and welcome, Deb. Woo!
Thank you. Always happy to talk goals. And believe me, I get that wish all the time with this book coming out. But the whole purpose is, we're talking in January. I only talk about goals in January because everybody else does. And it would seem really silly if I didn't, because I'm year round goal girl. We set goals because we want our lives to be better, different, more enhanced, more enriched, get our message out. And that's not just something you do at the beginning of the year. Go figure. Every day, every week, every month is an opportunity to rethink your life, set new goals, and move forward. And before we start, I see Haley is in the audience. And when we did the podcast, Haley asked the question, what do you do when you've got a project that you are not excited about? How do you get excited about it? And I have used this example in at least a half of the interviews that I've been doing for the book because it is so important. So my answer was sandwich it. Do something you love, then take the medicine, and then reward yourself by doing something you love again. And when you've got those things that you're working on, it can be your full-time gig or it could be a side hustle. But when you've got the things that you are doing that you love, it's going to make everything else in your life better. And maybe it's a personal goal will make your professional life better. Maybe it's a professional goal, which will leak good onto the personal stuff. But it all starts with thinking about what you want and then making a plan to get it, which is what the Deb method is all about. So I wanted to shout out and thank Haley for giving me this example that everybody loves, but it's really the essence, which is do the things that you love. It just makes everything better. So on with the workshop. Um, Here we go.
And Deb, how do you want to play this? Do you want people to do you want to be interactive? People can just chime in, or would you rather people put comments in the chat and then we'll get to them?
Yes and yes. Let's just see how it goes.
Okay, we're gonna go yes and yes, everybody.
We're going with yes and yes. And thank you again for having me. As Jillian said, I'm author of your goal guide, which goes through the Deb method, which is my system of goal setting simplified, which is what we're going to talk about today, and 52 secrets for goal setting and goal getting, how to stay focused, grow your network, and get more done in less time. This book just out this week. I interviewed 60 achievers, leaders, entrepreneurs, superstars, and asked in the areas of business, tech, entertainment, food, and other creative realms, asking the simple question, what is your secret for setting goals or getting goals? And so that is what this book is. It's a choose your own adventure of getting the advice you need for the situation you need it in. And it really starts with what you love, but also with what your wins are. So think about what was your win last year? And this you can put in the chat. What are you most excited about? Obviously, this book was conceived, pitched, and written. I was going to say last year, but actually within 6 months because the proposal went out in March. I got the go ahead in June, and the book was submitted in August, which, by the way, is not normal. I'm very lucky, but um, the purpose so this is my win is I got to do the most Deb thing because I also do a podcast where I bring together people who, unless it's on purpose, don't know each other for a conversation. So that is my win. Have people put their wins in the chat? I don't see the chat until oh, wait, there it is. I love full screen sometimes. Um, So, Jillian, yes, your win is also obvious that you started One Handshake. And of course, it counts. Everything counts. Your wins count. So, think about what your win is. And now think about what win do you want to be celebrating a year from now? So, Haley started posting more regular content, um, and occasional articles to market yourself more effectively. Yeah, but aren't you writing books too? I mean, those count. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
mine. Uh, Genevieve quit her job. Awesome. See,
Mhm.
that's a win. And Haley is on the progress on the next one. So this time next year, will you be celebrating the release or just getting out in the world? So think about what you're celebrating now and what's going to be so cool to be celebrating a year from now. Um, this is also great. Moving to a new country and finding a job, career that I would love. Oh, is the moving to a new country, Petra, your win from last year and finding something you love for next year, or did you find it already? Either way, good.
Oh,
This year.
we're working on
Amazing.
that.
Yes, but that is the point. We've got the things that we you have to celebrate the wins because that's gonna give you the energy to keep moving forward. I did this, I'm gonna do that. So my win is this book, but my goal is to make the 52 Secrets book the next Chicken Soup for the Soul because there's so many different directions and different types of advice. I've got like the next 4 I want to do in my head. So we need to make this a smash. So next year I could be celebrating the next one. So and Anika said last year I was celebrating where my family is and how everyone is thriving. This year, my focus is on me and my business development. Yes, you should always be a goal. And with freelancers, I don't. A lot of freelancers have this problem where they're not prioritizing themselves because we can do our work on our own schedule. Will people tend to be really quick? Oh yeah, I could do that and put my stuff off later. Unless you prioritize yourself, then y I'll put it in a positive way. You need to treat yourself like your own client. You need to treat the appointments you have with yourself like the gold that it is, so you can create the life you want, and again, make the other things better because that's why we're doing this. So, it's important to celebrate your wins and also your goals to look at what you are working towards in the future. And I love this photo because I say this all the time. You can't reach your goals on your own. You need your people. And being in a community like this, we get to be each other's people. If we are not connected on LinkedIn, we'll share the link later. Please connect with me, connect with each other. Because in one of the beautiful things about my new book is I interviewed these 60 achievers. They are all people that I know, I've interviewed, I've met, we've been lifelong friends, or the people that I interviewed said, Deb, you need to meet this person. They need to be in the book. So everybody in my book is a first degree connection. And that's how we do things. And even Jillian was saying before we went live, she's like, I didn't realize you knew these people. I have multiple connections with a lot of people in the book that didn't even realize that they knew each other.
Mhm.
Mind blowing. But that's how it works when you're in a community. What is the goal? It's to be an expert, build a successful business, build up your career, achieve work life balance. I'm guessing most people are at least 2 or 3 of these things. Because you want to be an expert because that is, it's taking your claim. Jillian, chief handshaker, that is Jillian. Deborah, goal whisperer, that is me. What is your thing that you are going to own and how are you going to use it? Is it building a thought leadership, a business, a career, or just that part's good? You just need more of that balance part. And one of the secrets in my book, Elena Hall said, is try for harmony, not balance. So whichever word works for you, and this is also really funny. I have this rock that says a harmony on it that I got years ago. Whenever people say, "What are your words for the year?" A harmony is always one of them because the different parts of your life impact all of your life. So I am Deb. And the DEB method stands for determine your mission, explore your options, brainstorm your path. Most goal setting experts, I'm air quoting now, tell you how to achieve your goals, but I am all about setting the foundation for your goals. So determine your mission, can't get what you want unless you know what that is. Explore your options is about researching what you need to do to create that life you want. And brainstorm your path is dividing and conquering, figuring out the steps you need to take, putting them in order, and making a plan. This is what I thought. These two slides got flipped, but Jillian already introduced me. You know all this about me. The other thing that I will add to it is the line at the bottom, which is I am a fan of dancing for exercise, cooking for productivity, and talking for fun. So you've got the things that you love, but you also have the things that make you a little bit unique. I am a reformed non-cook who is now also a food writer and food podcaster. So the dancing is, I believe, a 2-minute dance break will solve anything. And talking for fun, know the things that you love that you are good at so you can highlight those uniqueness of yourself. And see what I did is I took the flip of the slides and made it's me, because this really is me. It is all about claiming who you are, and I do, book proposal strategy as well as goal setting strategy and workshops, and everybody that I meet with for the book proposal side, it's the same thing. What is the thing that you love? What are you writing and why are you the only person who can do it? It's the same thing with goals. What are you putting out in the world and what makes you unique and why are you the only person? You need to own that because that is what's going to it's going to make you feel good. Absolutely, but it's also going to help you stand out. So I want you to put what is your uniqueness? What is that one-liner or short phrase that makes you different? And please put that in the chat. And Jillian, you could put something in addition to, or you could put One Handshaker because you are that. When you were rebranding as One Handshaker, it was a no-brainer because you were always the chief introducer, handshake officer. While you are thinking, I'm going to talk about the G and the W method because this is it. I talk about the foundation, but determine your mission is the foundation of the foundation. And it really starts with when you think about the life you want, what does that look like? And we're talking in January. A lot of people are about the vision boards. If you want a vision boarding exercise, if you go to thedevmethod.com, virtual vision board, virtual scavenger hunt. That's it. VSH. So thedevmethod.com/VSH. If you want to play with that vision boarding to get a big picture idea of what you're working towards, that's always fun. But think about the life you want and then make a picture. And we've got wonderful apps like Canva, like I'm using for this presentation, that you make it so easy to cut and paste something, or go old school and cut out magazines and take a photo of that. So you've got this visualization. I do mine in a form of using feng shui. So mine has the 9 quadrants with a different thing that I'm working towards, but that's like the big picture. I want you to think about one thing that you want to achieve and what is that visual representation. So, for example, whether you're a nonfiction author like me or a creative writer like Haley, one idea goal is to be number one on the New York Times bestseller list. Great thing to keep in your head. Even better thing to take a screenshot of the New York Times bestseller list and then put your book in the #1 slot. That's a perfect visualization for a writer. For an entrepreneur, a business owner, get a copy of the Forbes top 40, under 40, or top 40, over 40 list, and then put your photo and your future bio next to it, which we'll get to it in a second. So, or if you've got a product you want in all the stores, do a mock-up. Or if you want to write a Academy Award winning screenplay, make a movie poster. Think about your visualization and create something you can look at that is representative of it. And another part of that is it could just be the balance thing. Maybe you want to travel more. Take a picture of yourself or yourself and your family and Photoshop it onto a destination that you want to vacation at. What is your visual? It could be personal, professional, mixture, but think about that. And if you want to write what you think your visualization is in the chat, that would be good as well. Next thing, so you've got what you want, and now it's time to take an inventory, like a you inventory. And this is why start by writing your current bio, and that you likely already have one, but I'm talking about a bio that really leans into the best of you, your uniqueness, what you're looking to create. So 3 lines, easy, of who you are. And then the future bio, and what is the future? We used to do these in 5 years, but things change so quickly. I think there's good to have one for the end of the year, maybe do one for in 3 years, or perhaps one for your next birthday. But to have a couple different versions of what you want to be in the short term, and then what you want to create in the longer term. And like your current bio, it should be written in the third person in the present tense, because that just gives it power. So your current bio and your future bio. And now you write your mission statement, which you may probably have worked at a company at some point where you've had a mission, and maybe you have your mission for your business, which is great. I want a you mission. And that is who you are, what makes you unique, what you do, and how you help. So mine is some version of my mission is to use my background, my books, my workshops, my consulting to help as many people as possible figure out what they want and how to get it so they can live a better, more fulfilled life and help more people. So this is my mission, very long, very clunky. And my motto is goal setting simplified. So you've got your clunky mission statement, and from it, pull out 3 words, 5 words of your motto. So this is the exercise we're going to take a few minutes to do right now, because like I said, this is the foundation of everything. And if you go to thedebmethod.com/mmw, for I'm very unique, I just use the initials, you can grab a copy of the mission and motto worksheet, but this is basically it. To write your mission statement about who you are, what makes you unique, and how you help. So let's just take a few minutes to jot that out. Because if you're here, you're clearly already invested in yourself anyway. So you have an idea. I'm reading through the comments as you're doing this, and I have to call out, is it Annika? Anike? Wrote, I have a wallpaper on my phone for my dream life. Yes. Yes. That is the point. When my when your goal guide was coming out, that was my screensaver on my phone. I tried to put this one up, but it's a little bit it's a little bit much like me, which is good. Look, Jillian, it matches your sweater. Pretty cool. Anyway, this is my new goal. I did an event with Gavin Winston and Digital LA last night, and my book matched. He always wears signature red. And I pulled out my book and I'm like, look, twins. So anyway, what is that one thing that you can put on your screensaver on your computer, your wallpaper on your phone, so you're looking at that picture. And how are we doing on our mission statements? Do you have them to put in the chat? Or even these, we can unmute for these. If anybody wants to read their mission and then share what you think your motto is, or we can figure out your motto.
Ooh. Who feels courageous tonight? Anybody?
If not, you do.
I do. Yeah, I do. Does anybody else want to have a chance?
Well, I just wrote in the chat. I'm not sure if that's aligned with what Deb is talking about, but that's kind of, it's a bit vague, but it does describe me in what I do.
And what is it that you do?
Mhm. Well, for 6.5 years, my last job was that I worked for an agency that was helping entrepreneurs in my country to basically learn new skills, in marketing, sales, whatever you name it, to improve their businesses. And I was a manager of one of the programs, and I was making sure, everything was top notch, and I was project managing it and delivering the presentations. So, what is written in that chat, it is me, but it's like, I'm not like a writer, an accountant, like really
Mm,
book.
compact.
I'm more broader, sort of. Yeah.
Are you working now?
No, at the moment, well, no, I don't have a full-time job at the moment.
Okay, and I am totally good with the umbrella approach
Mhm.
because, like I said, I do goal setting, but I do sub factors of it. So
I
goals
mean,
for writing books, goals for
yeah. In my last job, it's,
projects.
that feeling when you get up in the morning and you're excited to go to
Uh-huh.
work. Like
Yeah.
you're like, okay, what will happen today? What meetings do I have? That was me for the past 6.5 years. So what I would love to be doing is something same or very similar to what I used to do. It just was me. That job was me. So yeah.
So your mission is to find something that makes you that happy and excited to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me, and I may be completely wrong, that your skill set is bringing people and projects together in this international setting.
In a very big nutshell. But yeah, if you want to say it briefly, I would.
I do.
I'm not good at talking briefly, so I leave it up to you.
Editor. One of my superpowers is taking a lot of words and making it just a few of them. But
For sure not my superpower, yeah.
but really lean into that superpower of in this subsection of multicultural, you are so good at creating the one voice, one on one handshake. So one voice for a lot of different people and bringing them together.
Mhm. Mhm.
So something of that nature, I think, really encapsulates you.
Mhm.
Good luck. I think it's an important skill set.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more, and then I noticed that it is almost at half past, so we will keep on keeping on. Anyone else want to be an example? Or else we just keep going. We will keep going. So you've got your mission statement, and then you want to make it into some sort of motto. So something light and pithy. As I said before, mine is goal setting simplified. So everything that I create, whether I'm writing or working with a client or doing a workshop, is making it simple because changing your life is challenging enough. I make the instructions really easy. And it could be a phrase, it could be a title, it could be a theme song. What what is the song that you put on when you need the energy? There's a song called by Sugarland called Settlin', And the line is, I ain't settling for anything less than everything. So that is the song I put on when I need that energy. So think about what your motto is, and you could put that in the chat as well. And once you've got your motto, then you can start exploring your options. So it's great. I want this life. How do I create this life? And that starts with directed journaling. And this exercise is you want to set 3, 4, 5, 15-minute appointments with yourself. And during that time, free write the answer to a very specific question or specific series of questions. So it could be, what's next for me? Or what is my ideal business to work for? Or how do I get more balance in my life? So whatever that is, do this 3, 4, 5 times. Do not read your answers until after you've completed the exercise. You are letting your mind explore, but really letting the things that you love bubble to the surface. Because when you read through it, you are going to find things that you thought you wanted, you only mentioned once or twice, whereas something you thought was kind of passing, you wrote a whole bunch of times. I mean, and I can even go back to my second book, which was, I self-published my first 2, but right on blogging. And in this one, who knew 51 tips for create, write, and promote your blog. Who knew that I would do a 52 10 years later or whatever. But if you look at the book, I use examples of food all the time. This is before I started cooking and just love food. Who knew? But look into do the exercise, read it all together once, and then go back with either a highlighter or a pen to write down the things that you mentioned multiple times. So,
Do you see the question there, Deb?
is there a motto for I don't.
Sorry, no, I spelled it typo. Is the
Okay.
no is the not is
Yes,
the
it's for yourself.
is the most
It is for yourself. I mean, you can share it because Goal Setting Simplified is my log line. So if that makes sense, but it really is for you. This is your decision tree as you are going through your process and your life. When opportunities come your way, you can say, is this a fit? Then yes. Is it not a fit, but is there another benefit? Then yes. If there isn't a fit, if there's no other benefit, then you have to take a real hard look. Do you still want to do this thing? So it is not only your energizer, it's your compass. And years ago, a friend invited me to be in a business panel for women in the workforce. I had not worked in an office for like 10 or 12 years at this point, but she asked. So I said yes and then immediately regretted it. But I wasn't about to go back on my commitment. And then the day of the event, the venue fell through. So we had to cancel. So I felt it was the universe watching out for me. When she rescheduled it, it was for January, and I said, "January's goal season. I cannot do any events that are not directly related to workshops or consulting or whatever. I need that space." And something else came up for the night of that event that I was able to say yes to because I said no to something that was not a fit. So that is just a very practical way of using that exercise, that decision trait. So you do your directed journaling. And then from it, make a list of like 10 things and then whittle it down to 5 or maybe 3 and then explore your options. Maybe in your thought leadership, you're thinking, do I write a book? Do I start a podcast? Or I like threes. Write a book, start a podcast, start leading workshops. Okay, good. 3. Go into your network and see who is doing the things, who has that information. Maybe they have a resource, maybe they're willing to have a short conversation with you, but look into it. And that's why people like me and Jillian are so important. You've got your connections, but you also have your connectors like us. And you all know that if there's something you need and Jillian doesn't know the answer, she will find someone who has the answer. And I am the same way because of my vast community. And that's why, again, I will underscore, be sure you are connected with everybody in this workshop. If you're watching the replay, find us, at least me and Jillian, and connect on LinkedIn, because when you are finding your tribe, their tribe is your tribe. So we're all in this together. And then do your research and then settle on, okay, these are my priority goals. Make a choice. Simple, right? Okay. Next thing you want to do is do it out of order. Yeah, I did it out of order again. That's okay. I caught it this time. Go me. What you want to do is write a list of all of your goals. So similar to the directed journaling, but this is more like a sit down and do it sort of thing all at once. And you can refer to your directed journaling brainstorm to fill in some of the gaps, but write down everything, your personal goals, your professional goals, long-term, short-term. You want easy goals so you have easy wins, and you want some reach goals, so things that you're working towards for the big picture. And then divide and conquer. So you want to put all your personal goals together, all your professional goals together, and then encapsulate them. So no matter what you're doing, if you do not already have a website or blog or some other thought leadership piece, you're going to want one. And so put all the activities involved with creating a website, blog, podcast, all those go in one category. And then the personal goals, some of them are going to be project goals that you're going to map out in the same way you do a professional goal, but others are more like habit changes. So if you are looking for mapping out your project goals, you remember the tasks get you to benchmarks. Benchmarks lead you to goals, and then the short-term goals build up into long-term goals. So, for example, for this blog, each benchmark is going to be a different piece of it. So you need the technical things. You need to figure out the hosting and the usernames, and all those pieces are tasks. So the technical aspects. Next one is more the branding. You know, what colors are you going to use? What persona are you going to create? What sort of content are you creating? And then the third benchmark is mapping out that content. Okay, I'm going to do blog posts that are also uh, nifty tips for networking. So each task is like, okay, what sort of content? Who am I going to interview, or am I going to do these myself? What do they involve? So this is in the plotting of your blog. When you reach each benchmark, you are going to achieve that goal of creating a website, blog, podcast, what have you. So again, figure out when you're taking your brainstorm, put all the tasks you need to do for each benchmark together. And that way you can start mapping all that out. For things that are more personal, like I want to be healthier, or even in finding a new job is actually a little bit of both, because you need the steps to take. You need to update your LinkedIn, rewrite your resume. One of those benchmarks is the materials you need to create to find a job. Another benchmark is the research. What do you want to do? Where do you want to work? And then the third benchmark is doing the things. So, how many queries you're going to do, or write out the sample queries, write out what connections you have to which companies, whatever the different tasks you need to do to achieve each benchmarks to get you to that new job. But the actual finding of the job is also, it's got its foot in both types, because you want to make a list of all the things that you need to do each week for the job search. And the list would be like, send out 5 queries a day, or 25 a week. So you could do 10 one day, 15 another, take the other days off, or do 1 research meeting a week. So for that kind of a project goal, it's going to have that ongoing element to it. Whereas something like building a website, it's going to be looking at your schedule and seeing I can spend an hour a week on this, and I'm going to do that for 3 weeks. And then once I get the first two, the technical aspects, what's the branding? Oh, okay, all three. What sort of content I'm going to create. And then after that, every week it's going to be, this is the appointment I'm making to write the blog post. This is the appointment to post it and share it and what have you. So just couple little examples about the project aspects. For the ones that are more lifestyle, like I want to travel more, I want to live healthier, then you just make a list of all the things you need to do. I figure like the healthy lifestyle is one that's relevant anyway. What do I need to do? Exercise more, or maybe it's find a form of exercise that I like. So then each week, each month, you're going to test out a new exercise until you find one that you like that you will do. And then that becomes your twice a week appointment for that kind of goal. Other things like eat healthier, that means research recipes, go to the grocery store, batch your meals. So make that list and then put those tasks into your calendar, because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Any questions? And all of this is really the first half of your goal guide takes you through the Deb method in detail with examples, with exercises. So if you really want a deep dive into this, I also do consulting in addition to workshops, but this is a really good starter to figure out those plans.
I have a burning question, Deborah.
Okay.
How do I fight the overwhelm? Press-
There.
Oh, okay, sorry.
We're just about at strategies to set yourself up for success. So I love this. Are you a foreseer? Yes, we're because it's big, but that's why it's so important to look at your life before giving yourself deadlines. Like, this month is book release month. Originally, my book release date was the 14th and then was moved to the 28th, which was yesterday. January for me, was always about doing as many interviews and workshops and spreading the word about my book as I can. That was it. That was the goal. Any other fun side project-y things, they're going to be there in February and March. And this week in particular, uh, because launch week, it's for me, it's every day. It's either I'm talking. This is really funny. Launch day was yesterday, and I scheduled 2 meetings because I'm like, oh, it's launch day. I don't have anything planned. Boy, was I mistaken in scheduling 2 things that had nothing to do with launch activities. But it was okay. It gave me a little bit of a brain break. But I did as much of my because I'm a freelance writer as well. I did as much of my non-work work last week. And somebody wrote me yesterday, when can we set up our next meeting? And I said next week. So, because the rest of this week, we're only at gosh, are we only at Wednesday?
Mm.
I know, now I do, enough not to schedule more than I can handle there, because we still need to do things like sleep, apparently. Look at your life. So if you have, well, actually, let me jump ahead. I created something I called the 5 of 7 rule. And there are a lot of experts, again, I'm using the air quotes, who say you need to work on your goals every day. Don't break the chain. I say, if you really feel that way, if you can do it, great. But most people can't. So the 5 of 7 rule is permission to not work on your goals every day. Even if you say, oh, I can easily do 15 minutes a day. Well, if you can't do 15 minutes on Sunday, then you're going to try and do a half an hour on Monday and then 45 minutes on Tuesday. If you did not have 15 minutes on Sunday, you do not have an hour on Wednesday. So better to look at your calendar and say, okay, this week I can do a half an hour meetings with myself to work towards my goal. And you put them in the calendar and you can move the appointments, you cannot delete them. So this is committing to yourself and your goals, but that's how you avoid overwhelm is you look at your life and you say, I can do this, and then do the thing. Again, simple. And then I'll go backwards. So you want to schedule and or track your time. You can keep it when you do these appointments with yourself. After you do the tasks, you can either write it in the appointment and or to create a win list. So this is how I do it. I used to do it as a Google Doc. Now I do it as a calendar appointment. So every day at 6 o'clock, I get a notification that it's January 2025 wins, and I'll just put the date and write 1 to 3 things that I did and then save it as the next day. And I'll do this all through the month. And that way, at the end of the week or the month, whenever you're feeling like you're not getting there quickly enough, you can look and say, oh, but I did all of these things. I'm doing better than I thought. So the first trick is only schedule time when you have the time. Be very self-aware. And the second is to keep track of what you're doing to keep you motivated. So you will keep moving forward. And then on top of that, you want to post the goals everywhere. Again, it can be on your wallpaper on your phone, your uh, background on your computer. I have boards to my right, which I will not let you see because it's messy, but this is where I keep my visualization, my list, my to-do list, the goals that I'm working towards, the priorities. And I even have um, a list which is like 5 short phrases, which are all of the mission. These are the things that are the priorities of what I do. So you want to post them everywhere and also embrace to-do lists. So at the beginning of the week, write down all the things that you need to do and then categorize them. I'll use me. What do I need to do for the book launch? What are my workshops that I need to prepare for and present on this week? What are my client meetings? What are my client to-dos? So those are the different categories, and then personal, whatever. Personal, yeah. I will go back to personal goals next month. But the idea, and I am definitely one for balance. And the other thing is I do all the things that I recommend people to do because when I think I know better than myself, I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
I did joke about not doing personal goals. It doesn't mean that I don't have personal time. On Sunday, yeah, on Sunday, I'm like, I had a couple hours and I said I could do, maybe I should have done more of the preppy things for this week, but things come up and you don't know. But I'm like, I have a couple hours. I'm going to make soup. So I had carrots. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to make some carrot soup. I'm making carrot soup and I'm making the Instant Pot dirty. I'm going to make some hard-boiled eggs. So I did the hard-boiled eggs. I made the carrot soup. Oh, it's okay. I'll make noodles. I like to batch my cooking, not just my goals. But that was me time. And the reason I love cooking so much is you cannot do other things while you were cooking. I mean, you can listen to podcasts or watch TV or what have you, but you cannot be obsessively scrolling. You cannot. It's also really good if you're trying to work something out. You can do a rote activity, whether it's cooking or gardening, but use that to free your brain so you can figure things out. So the directed journaling is also really good for figuring out any problems or making decisions. But the other part of it is when you're doing things like cooking, you let your mind wander and it's not only refreshing. Well, I like cooking because the reward is you get to eat. So think about what is something like that for you so you can incorporate more of that as well. So you want to post your goals, embrace the to-do list. I like to have a paper list, but I also like the electronic list. And I never delete things. If it's electronic, I will write done in all caps next to it. If it's on paper, I'll do a check mark. And that way, it's just another tracking tip. So you know what you have done and propel you to move forward. Create rules and rewards. Part of the conversation that started 52 Secrets, because we all have the things that we do that make us more productive, that help us be better. And Jillian may or may not love this one, but I always say for networking goals, you should do 3 networking goals a week. One is do an educational thing like this, one do a mixer in person or online, and the third, do a short one-on-one with someone who you met, who you want to get to know better, or someone you haven't seen in a while that you want to reconnect with. And you make that your rule, what you do every week. And then if you do it for 3 weeks, the reward is you take a week off. Or you set deadlines and you give yourself little rewards for little wins and big rewards for big wins. So again, look at what is going to work for you and do more of those things. Oh, I just talked about we don't need the networking goals more than this, but just an example of different things I did for November. I just said November is networking month, and I posted a networking goal every day. And if you go to 52secretsbook.com, I put them up. I batch them as blog posts, and that's even easier. We want the well-being, we want the balance, set boundaries. Yeah, right. Yes, set boundaries. Decide. And I just gave a pretty good example of this. As entrepreneurs or people with passion projects, it's really easy to work all the time, including the weekends. You want at least one weekend day or at least a half off. I usually end up doing like 2 half days, but if I can, um, I'll just do a little bit in the mornings and then not work the rest of the weekend. But you want to set those kind of boundaries. And if you have to work on the weekend, take time off during the week. You want to have balance. You want to be aware that you can't do everything all the time, be everyone, everywhere all the time. Uh, and then another boundary is I usually set a time where I stop responding to emails. And then I set a time that I stop looking at emails. Because come on, right? So unless there's something urgent, I will not respond to anything after like 8 o'clock because I don't want to I don't want people to feel like they have permission to email me late. And those of you who live in other countries, maybe it's not as easy. But even with when I was sending out emails for the people who I interviewed for my book, I did a bunch and then set them to send at 8 o'clock in the morning in the time zone. But again, not something you should do all of the time. In special occasions, you can overextend. Just know that you're going to have to prepare yourself for the foreseeable future. Schedule me time, be social, and first and foremost, have fun. Because when you love what you do, it shows. When you don't love what you do, it really shows. So really lean into those things that you love, the things that make you unique, that you enjoy, and allow that to fuel you and your goals and set yourself up for success. Okay, this is my new book, 52 Secrets for Goal Setting and Goal Getting, just released on January 28th. You can grab it on Amazon and or your favorite place to buy books. I also have a Facebook group for 52 Secrets book, and actually at the back of the book, it's got all the different places to connect. Original Recipe Deb, as I call it, your goal guide is also available, a hardcover or softcover ebook. It's also audiobook, but I'm not the one who speaks it, so I recommend one of the first two. I probably shouldn't say that out loud. Someone once said, "Deb, was it AI?" And no, it was the person who narrated my first book was a person that does not sound like. Anyway, um, or if you need a little bit of special attention. I do goal strategy as workshops, but also one-on-one consulting. I also do this with my book proposal work where we can do give me an hour, I'll give you a plan, or if you need 3 sessions or ongoing work. I just love helping people figure out what they want and how to get it because it's your life, it's your choice. So really embracing who you are, what you love, and making it a priority in your life, it really enables you to create that life you deserve and desire. My links connect. And I'm sure Jillian will have these somewhere as well. And thank
Great.
you. And remember with your goals, again, it's your own, your life is your own, choose your own adventure. So really take the time to figure out what you want because it will make, first of all, the journey better, more fun, right? But you will be creating that life that you want, which is always the goal. So lean into what you love, whether it's a little bit of time each week or a lot of time, and sometimes it spirals. Uh, but really gift yourself the time to figure that out and make a plan and turn that life you want into reality.
Amazing.
Thank you. And we have 5 minutes for questions. Woohoo!
We do. And I just want to underscore for a moment. Yeah, I mean, the book just came out. So if you haven't yet had the chance to, and you would like to pick up Deb's book, I also included the links in the chat. And then they'll be shared afterwards, or at least keep either of her books, particular the new one, in mind. Makes a great gift. Or if you know somebody else, we're all talking about networking and being of service to others. So if you meet somebody else and you feel like either of her books would be beneficial to them, consider sharing the links as well. That will be wonderful and appreciated, and a nice gesture. So just wanted to underscore that. So yeah. So now I just talked. So we lost a couple of the extra minutes for questions.
Well, and thank you for putting that out. One of the really awesome things. So, like I said before, everybody in the book is either a friend of a friend, someone I've interviewed. But a lot of the people, and I think maybe 10 of them were via email, but most of these were Zoom interviews that I did with people, and then I put their thoughts into their own chapters. And at the end, I would say, is there someone else that you know that you think, and the guidelines are they have to be someone I would be friends with and they have to share that giving spirit, which I realize is kind of redundant. And as much as I've been saying it lately, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much the same thing. But some of the people would say, oh, you need to interview this person because I want to know how she does it all. Or interview that person because I'm just curious. And so Guy Kawasaki wrote the afterword for the book. And I asked one of my friends, how do I get to him? And she said, well, you need to interview Larry Levine because first of all, Larry needs to be in the book, but he just interviewed Guy Kawasaki and he can give you the right way to get to him. And that's how they got into the book. So some of the stories, the other one that I love that I might have shared when we did the podcast is Patrick J. Adams, who's the lead in Suits, the lawyer who's not. My friend Dylan Kennan, who I've known, one of the people that I've met in real life, actually, of the book, I interviewed him and I got a couple other people from him. And I'm like, Dylan, is there someone you know who would be really powerful name to include? I'm working on it. And then I get a text, intro coming. And then I get an intro, Deb, meet Patrick. Patrick, meet Deb. I told him about your book and he'd be happy to be involved. And that's how I got that interview. We were supposed to do 5 minutes. We talked for half an hour. And then recently I did another mini interview with him. Again, supposed to be 5 minutes. I think we ended up at 20 to talk about the book. And it's the reason that he connected us was so obvious. It's just so important. Well, at least for me, the people in the book, they're actors, they're executives, they're celebrity chefs, all the authors, it's just a gamut of different people, but they all were able to pinpoint one thing that worked for them and give the example. And that I think is what makes it so powerful. And then you can go in the book and say, I need help with productivity. and you've got a list of different ideas for productivity, or you could just read the chapter, or you can go boom, you know.
Mm,
So if
mm,
it's
mm,
a resource of advice from a bunch of different people at your fingertips,
mhm.
and it was for me just a joy to put together because to make those connections. And now I talked another 2 minutes. Do we have any
Yes.
questions? It is actually a really good example of loving what you do. Clearly.
Loving what you do, but also what strikes me is the power of sharing our goals with other people and having and like your story illustrates exactly that. So you're sharing that, you're creating an opportunity for people to share their stories, but also to participate in your goal. And I think that there's a lot of power in that. And that's personally something that's inspiring for me is like I wish there was time. Like I want to know every single person's personal goals, professional goals, and everything in between because I want to be able to contribute to them. So I think the community component of goals is also really compelling and powerful. So,
Without question, which is why I love
mm,
the workshop format so much. And usually it's usually a little bit longer. So we do 90 minutes, 2 hours, and we go through all the exercises, which it's just because you never know who in the group is going to know something or someone who's going to help you. So we've got that big power to it as well. Thank
super.
you for having me, Jillian, and great to meet you all. Does anybody have good questions? Because I feel like we got so excited. We enthused. Okay, well, you can reach out.
Since we are all thinking already about mission,
Yeah.
vision, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and like I
Perfect.
said, your goal guide takes you through Deb with all the exercises, and this one is more supplementary of, and there is an appendix in the back. There's a short form Deb method appendix in the back of this one because I wanted the book to really be focused on the people who I interviewed for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But all the links, the worksheets and all the stuff that you mentioned tonight, Deb, we grabbed them. They were in the chat and they all will be available after.
Okay,
So for now, we'll put a bow on this one because I know we're at the top of the hour and want to be kind of respectful of time and including your time, Deb. Although you have the whole day ahead of you. For some of us, it's like trying to scramble and finish the rest of the things on the day before it's gone.
mhm.
But yeah, so I just want to put a bow on our very first workshop with One Handshake. So I'm thrilled. I mean, it's just wild how it happens. I mean, certainly we met more than 10 years ago, and neither of us would have ever imagined what life is
You
like and where we are and all the things. I mean, it's pretty amazing what can happen.
you never know. The connections you make today could be a really invaluable part. Well, they will be, even if it's just
Mm,
personally an invaluable part of your
mm,
future. But we're
mhm.
all in this together. So thank you for having me and for building this community, which is so important for everybody because goals are team sport. So let's just
Yes.
do it together.
Yes. All right, Deb.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.